Hello YouTube, Liverpool fan in Japan here, the Miyazaki man Sai, and this video is about why Roberto De Zerbi might very well be one of the top two choices for Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes come this summer to replace Jurgen Klopp in Liverpool. And the perception of De Zerbi right now is an all-time low, but Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes are hired to perhaps see things the majority just don't see, the underlying statistics and what the future could hold. And that's the key thing. You've got to envisage everything holistically in place. You don't bring in Andrew Robertson, you don't bring in Gini Wijnaldum because of their body of work beforehand and what they've done previously, up and down in form. The potential is there. Can they do it? Can they make the step up? You get that player with their attributes, with the vision of their function in your team. You place them in the hot seat, put them on the pitch and actually see it all come into fruition. And that is what Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards have to do with this managerial appointment. It's not what they've done previously. It's their potential. It's their ceiling. It's their attribute. It's their style of play. It's what they're going to introduce. What will they do with this current squad? Can this current squad bail out some of the weaknesses of a potential managerial target as well? Will they stay here long term? What have they got left to achieve? How will they handle themselves in the press room? Have they got the Liverpool philosophy? Will the fans eventually get behind them? Will they get behind the style of play? All that kind of thing, right? So watch the video. No, really, De Zerbi has one of the most disgustingly offensive, brilliant formations in world football. I've never seen anything like it. I've read so many books. You talk about Grinch's book, Del Piero's book, Cruyff's book, Pele's book, Platini's book, Van Basten's book, so many books, and I've never, Rinus Michels, doesn't matter who you're talking about, I've never seen a formation the way that De Zerbi does it. I'll put it towards the end of the video, tactics board. And I hope this video will bring some of those to the fore so you guys can make your own minds up. And I know there's a few comments in the previous video saying what a mess, what a dump, trash heap. This is my dedicated man cave. It's a temporary office, a little flat, about 200 quid, 300 quid a month, for my boys' toys, my endless amounts of snacks and random Liverpool goodies and whatever I can find here. Japan is the world of the weird and the wonderful. But actually, we're building a house, which is why literally just dumping anything I can here, wherever I can find space. Got no room horizontally, vertically, wherever, to even walk. However, next month, things are going over. Dedicated Liverpool studio. Going to do this thing properly. Thank you so much for your support as always. Keep tuned. Hope it's not too distracting. Thank you for watching and liking the previous video on Ruben Amorim, Liverpool manager. That video seems to be performing very, very well. I'm glad you enjoyed it. The likes, the comments, the interaction and subscriptions really, really help boost the video and the channel as well. So domo arigato minasan. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. Without further ado, let's get on with the show. So let's go with the pros. Let's go with a positive note of what Roberto De Zerbi would bring to Liverpool, what he's brought to the Premier League, what he's brought to Brighton. In the last 20 years, Pep Guardiola has said that De Zerbi is one of the most innovative managers of that duration, of that whole period. He's widely regarded, widely respected in all circles of managerial levels. He is a successor to the Bayern Munich throne as well. Also, there's links to Barcelona, there's links to the upper echelons of clubs because he has a very distinct style. And what he does is he kills you by tempo, he kills you by movement. It is not a surprise when you say, how did that third man or fourth man suddenly appear in the right place and make the right run to receive the ball, get an end of the ball after 20 pass passage of play? Well, it's all planned. Lots and lots of Brighton players have said they now see a new way of thinking on the pitch. They are given autonomy and they are given the vision and they're given the message of what a player should be doing in certain phases of the build-up of play. They find passing lanes and transitions and areas of the pitch to attack and to exploit that other opposition managers cannot fathom or cannot create within their mindset. The players know their role, know their function, know their partnership and how to transition into those spaces to effectively attack the space. Roberto De Zerbi is an actual ultimate attacking football-minded manager. He's possession-based, he builds up possession, changes the tempo, changes the pace, goes from walking, crawling, to a complete standstill, to acceleration, to stop, to standstill, to boost, to off you go like the red arrows and zoom, 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 in you go into the goal, cross, square, tap in, goal. It's beautiful to see when it's very effective. Now here's the biggest conundrum with Brighton and De Zerbi. De Zerbi can conjure up these attacking passages of play, these attacking patterns, the right movements that overwhelm the opposition's shape and their block and exploits opportunities when you laterally move and open up the space. But the biggest issue is the personnel available and what they need to do for their particular role. De Zerbi is absolutely dependent on a quality midfield to carry out his function and carry out his plans. When Caicedo and McAllister were in the engine room of that midfield, we know first and foremost how quality. Alexis McAllister is and what he can do in that midfield function, backed up by Caicedo being the intelligent shadow and athletic, progressive ball player as well, because he can actually ping a ball in that system. And then you have Pascal Gross, and you have players like Kaoru Mitoma, you have Danny Welbeck running the channels and running the lines as well. There's so much to admire about that Brighton team, and it's built up from the back with Lewis Dunk and Estupinan. Flying fullbacks really got the most of what he had available to him to make a system designed to exploit the spaces vacated when you transition and move a player across laterally. And De Zerbi has really had to be creative because he makes the most substitutions, the most changes to his lineup, the most changes probably of any manager. I think there's actually a graph. I'm going to whip it up right now. Look at this. Sometimes it's forced, but he's improved players as well. Solly March is a constant threat in the Premier League. He's had to replace the goalkeeper, Roberto Sanchez, obviously to Chelsea, right? He had Levi Colwill at his disposal. Lamptey running up and down as well. He's had so many different players that were key players for Brighton having to transition to a new form of playing with new styles. Bruno Noche, for example, is coming up trumps. But Mitoma obviously having some bad injuries as well and some horrendous tackles against him. I don't envy his position, but at Liverpool, he will not find the same difficulties because he has that calibre of player. When you've got the calibre of play and the potential attacking offensive threat and transitions that Liverpool can do, matched with De Zerbi's foresight and vision for how the game should be played and how to create those game-winning scenarios, you now have a perfect blend and combination for winning any game. Now, this is the positive side of things where he can win any game because he has the innovation and ability to drill into the players, the passages of play, and his correct understanding of handling tempo and the narrative of the story to make those game-winning scenarios, right? And the biggest thing that's held against De Zerbi and Brighton is they're off form and they've been smashed, especially at Luton, right? And these results, how can you get a manager who's being smashed at Luton, who's losing by 3 goals, losing by 4 goals, losing goal in the early minutes because they're passing at the back and they lose the ball, because he is a very much ball playing manager from the back, create opportunities, overload the sides, transition, switch, pass, play them to death until you create that opening with a beautiful goal, right? Very old school Arsenal way, but actually a little bit more direct than Arsenal used to be as well, because he does like the crosses as well, and he is very good at with a dummy runner in and behind and slipping them through as well. So he'd be a very exciting manager for Liverpool. But you got to say, right, some of those results, sure, it puts a doubt in the back of your mind, but here's the big but. Van Dijk, Alisson, Joe Gomez, Konate, Robertson, Connor Bradley, Endo, McAllister, all shielding the Liverpool lineup, right? Whilst having that attacking philosophy and that clear idea and vision of how you play, they will not be shipping 3 goals, they will not be shipping 4 goals, because the IQ of the player, the ability of the player, and the tactics as a whole, as a unit, right? De Zerbi, for the first time, will have the opportunity to show what he can do defensively as well as offensively, and in the transitions defensively and offensively, with such a class squad. There's no way, even with his attacking gung-ho approach and his possession-based football that finds the gaps, that finds the opportunities and overloads the midfield, and with a dummy runner overloads the attack as well, that we'll be conceding that much, because you've seen Van Dijk against 3 people running him, you've seen the players like Konate and Gomez and what they can do, and forming that barrier in the midfield to stop opposition coming to our defence through Endo, through Gomez, through transitioning Trent, inverting Trent, through transitioning, inverting Connor Bradley as well, with Alisson, Becker at the back, even Keller at the back. No, we're not going to be conceding that much, and that could give De Zerbi the base to really go a step beyond what he currently is showing in attacking intent, to really take the game by scruff of neck and batter the opposition. He could really get some battering results against opposition. He would be the manager, most likely, in my opinion, to surpass the 7-0 against Manchester United one day, if we want to do that. Keep in mind that we probably have some tight matches, 4-3, 5-3, the super rock and roll heavy metal football by Jurgen Klopp. I love that. It's exciting. It's really fun, because we're bound to get excitement and loads of goals and styles of play and innovations that we haven't seen before, and that's very exciting, and De Zerbi can bring that. And with the enhanced squad of Liverpool, as I mentioned already, what a combo does Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards envisage? A really exciting, a really attacking Liverpool, shored up at the back by world-class players who keep the shape, who are experienced on the international stage and know when to play from the back, know when to hit it long, and won't be stuck in the philosophy of, I don't want to upset my manager, or I might do the wrong thing here, or he'll have a go at me in training or whatever. No, they are of that calibre that they can bail out his philosophy of attacking and creating those overloads and chances. So it seems to be a perfect blend there, and he's gone a bit under the radar because of this Brighton result. But as I said, he's lost some of his key players. Mitoma's been injured, Lallana's been injured, sold Caicedo, sold McAllister, It's not easy to overcome your Man Cities, your Tottenhams, your Arsenals, your Liverpools when your squad is that battered, you have so many injuries, and the players who get the instructions can't perform the function on the pitch. The most important thing for a player is to perform with aplomb the function that the manager demands of them on the pitch to achieve a certain outcome. If they can't do what they need to do for that function, the whole function breaks down, and the whole game plan breaks down, and then you're stuffed. You're absolutely stuffed. That's the thing with De Zerbi, right? I think it all needs to click, and he needs to be bailed out by quality players, which Liverpool have. Now, scoring goals is one of the hardest things in world football, but we would not have trouble scoring goals with De Zerbi in the hot seat. It's just that defensive aspect that people are questioning. But once again, you cannot compare Brighton's defence and evolution in terms of evolving the team and progressing the team because of the transfers out and the budget and, you know, the size of the club, etc., against Liverpool, against the titan that is Liverpool. With the transfer budget and the fan base roaring such attacking football, and Jogger Benita, Flair, wow, dummy runner. How did Curtis Jones end up in that position? Oh, he squared it. Gravenberch flies in with his ass and bombs it in, whatever. Doesn't matter. That kind of thing, right? It'll be exciting and unpredictable. And also saying that, because he has gone under the radar, perhaps he's an easier target to get because he has got that super high ceiling. He is well renowned, well regarded. He's still relatively young in the game as well. And the players have really believe in this philosophy because he's shown them a new way of playing, but also it's an exciting way of playing. And he speaks well, and he's the kind of guy you want to get behind as well. He seems like a very passionate man for his style of football, which is an exciting style of football. He believes in his philosophy, and he believes that he can go toe-to-toe with anyone. I don't think he'll change his philosophy for anyone. He won't go 2 banks or 4, close up shop. He will keep possession and absolutely stifle the opposition, destroy them with possession-based football before upping the tempo, switching tempo, slowing the tempo, frustrate opposition managers. They just can't do anything before bang, 2-3 goals, in it goes. It's that kind of game, right? And there's a note that Richard Hughes wanted De Zerbi in the Bournemouth hot seat previously to replace Scott Parker. I think there's a lot of links in. Obviously, there's that link as well. I think Richard Hughes is good friends with Andoni Iraola's agent, who's also the agent of Xabi Alonso. He's well connected, this guy Richard Hughes. Speaks multiple languages as well, right? So very well placed. But doesn't Richard Hughes also speak Italian? Correct me if I'm wrong. I think he speaks Italian as one of his languages, and there is another connection there. But De Zerbi also speaks English and conveys his message really clearly. And he seems to have an aura and authority in his tactical press rooms as well, and post-match interviews. And yeah, overall, I can see a world where an exciting Liverpool, it's all or nothing. You're going to batter them 5-0, or you might scrape out a 4-3. On the odd occasion, you might lose a 3-1, sure. But as I always said, a win is more important than a draw, because a draw is 1 game out of your calendar season, which is only 1 point. So you actually need to draw 3 games to have the equivalent of 1 win. 1 win and 2 losses is the equivalent of 3 draws, but 3 draws is already 3 games out of your season. So draws are dirty, and you're Liverpool FC. So if you can turn at least one of those 3 draws into a win, that's additional 3 points, which is another 3 games out of your season if you were to draw 3 more, which is absolutely ludicrous, because draws will kill your season and kill any chances for your title. You cannot be doing with draws. You have to go for the win, even in the most dire and mucky of circumstances. And De Zerbi is someone who will always go for the win and go for goals, and that is something that lends itself nicely to winning league titles. Let's carry on with the positives about Roberto De Zerbi. He's battered some of the best teams in the world with his Brighton team, you know, with his Leandro Trossard and his Solly March. Speaking of Solly March, he battered Liverpool. Klopp's Liverpool 3-0. Solly March double and a Danny Welbeck goal. He battered Arsenal 3-0. He battered Chelsea 4-1. He battered Wolves like 5-0 or something. He battered Man United 3-1. He can absolutely smash some of the top teams with his style of play and his Brighton squad. Remember when Brighton, you didn't want to face Brighton because you just turn up and absolutely trounce you with their exciting, interdynamic, changing, intergalactic Galacticos of the South. Brighton FC, the Albion. Yeah, he can on any given day smash anyone. And imagine what he could do with the players at Liverpool's disposal. We'll go into the tactics board fairly shortly, but now they're positive. It's only going to be a 15 million euro release clause. I say only 15 million, it's quite expensive still for a manager. That's like 12 million quid, 12.5 million quid. Much cheaper than an Alonso, much cheaper than a Ruben Amorim as well. And he's a tried and tested, well-known quantity within the Premier League, going toe-to-toe Guardiola. He will know the styles of play of opposition managers as well. So he'll have a vague idea already with a Liverpool squad and the talent at his disposal what he needs to do to get those wins, because he's beaten most of these managers before. Premier League experience is not something to be scoffed at. You need to know the best league in the world and really hit the ground running, and he is well versed in doing that, right? And as I mentioned before, Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards would have done data crunching and the numbers already, and putting him in the hot seat and his position and his type of transfer target as well. a lot of it is already in place for De Zerbi style of play, because he plays a very, very unique formation. It's almost a 2-4-4. Could kind of be a 2-5-3 as well. I mean, if you're being really, really pedantic, you can claim it back into a 4-2-4, right, which makes a little bit more sense. But let me show you on the tactics board what I mean. Okay, so this is the kind of shape that Roberto De Zerbi likes to set up with. Now, the keeper is a key component here, because he's a ball-playing keeper who act almost like the centre-back when you split the defence, because he will be the one that gets the ball and plays the ball around. Sure, we have a left-back and we have a right-back, but not in the traditional sense, because they start on the same line as the two most important players in the De Zerbi team, the two holding midfielders, right? The Endo, the God Emperor of Mankind, the Big E Endo, and Sexy Alexis under the right, like Ginger McAllister. Okay, them two sit and dominate the play. They can pick up the ball, they can drop into the back line as well, but ultimately the right back and the left back are here. Now, I'm not going to put names to this particular formation for the Brighton team, because it chops and changes so much, and obviously depending on who you have has a big impact on what you can do. Stupinan is a flying fullback. If you have your Matoma, very, very good for transitioning as well. Welbeck is a dummy runner. Evan Ferguson. Lots of players can play various roles. Gross, Solly March, etc. Lallana, Milner, slotting in everywhere that you need them as well. But in a Liverpool formation, a Liverpool system, it's very, very interesting, because before you put names to faces, right, this is what they do. They start on this line. Now, this line absolutely blockades the midfield and gives you triangles and options aplenty, considering that, imagine that your keeper is an outfield player, right? You have your predominant triangles between these three players already. But once again, they start on the same line. But look where the transition is, right? Look why they dominate the midfields and why you can never pick them up. It's because this guy goes left or right. Actually, probably usually goes left. The striker drops in there, and as you've seen in many formation videos, there is your box. There is your lovely, lovely box midfield where you dominate the opposition and then you press up because you've plugged in all the gaps. But that's not the end of it. This guy and this guy transition to that line. So what is going on here? Because this winger tucks into the half space and this winger tucks into half space. Is that not the ideal position for Mo Salah? Lucho Diaz could cause so much damage here. Diogo Jota could cause so much damage here. Darwin Núñez could cause so much damage either one of these slots. Gakpo would love that position right there. These fullbacks have just gone from that line making a 4 into that line to make a 4 and covering the spaces. Now the passing lanes and options are absolutely insane, because going around the outside or cutting inside to make an extra man, this player plays with this player to try to get in. He goes into that half space position and he goes into that half space position and he goes forward, right? Because on the underlap and overlap, this guy can go around the outside, or that guy can go around the outside, or even this guy can go and be an option on the width as well. They always go directly to goal. How many times have you seen a dummy runner and then Matoma just go straight line darting in? How often have you darted in there, the ball comes across, and then there's a through ball to the left back who squares it for tapping, or the other way around as well. Somehow he gets double the amount of players into the half space position, overwhelms the opposition with close ball control, changes the tempo, and allows for overlaps, underlaps, and backing up as well. And you have your striker just running everywhere, being the extra man in an overload. It's almost incomprehensible how he manages to set that up, and obviously that is so attacking and so gung-ho. So what do you do on the defensive transition? Well, before we do that, shall we put some names to faces so we can kind of see what we're dealing with here? Now, in terms of putting names to faces of this position, I think Lucho Diaz misses out on this particular setup, because you have to be very, very cute with your vision and releasing the ball at the right time, and Lucho Diaz does not release the ball quick enough, in my opinion, for Roberto De Zerbi team. He's an outstanding winger, but he always plays with the dribble on his mind. Núñez is actually becoming quite good at linking up with his players. So I think Núñez starts in this position because the striker, as you've seen, drops deep to initiate the space and goes into the pockets and become the extra man in midfield. Gakpo could be doing that, but I think Diogo Jota is almost ideally suited for that role, and this really exploits Mo Salah in the half position, especially with his aging legs where he hasn't got extreme pace anymore. That, to me, is the start of the attack, right? And then here, who do you have in attacking midfield? Well, it's got to be Domi Schrobbers, sexy Hungarian who's on a goal-scoring streak for Hungary right now. And you already know the kind of players I'm going to put here. World Cup winner McAllister, the biggie Endo. In this position, where this guy can transition from the right wing back slot into the right half space, right mid pseudo Beckham role. That's Trent all day, isn't it? That's literally Trent all day, doubling up into that position with Mo Salah. Left back, it's a similar kind of thing. You have the choice of Tsimikas backing up with Núñez to play the short ball game or delivery from out wide, or you have your Robertson bombing around the outside. And for the sake of balance, let's give a Robertson and Trent here, because traditionally they are highest assisting, best partnership. Obviously Conor Bradley can go here and do the same thing as Robertson on the right hand side. And as I mentioned, to cover the weakness on the transition, when you're getting attacked, who better than Van Dijk and Konate to be the width defenders, or the last man defender, or to hold the high line against the offside trap, and Alisson Becker behind them, right? Surely that negates a lot of the weaknesses and a lot of the fears that people have a Roberto De Zerbi team. Because if you can get through that line of McAllister, Endo, Trent and Robertson, right, then big boss Van Dijk, last boss Konate, you know, the Titans at the back, Colossal Titan, and the bearded holy saint himself at the back, Alisson Becker. It's formidable. It's formidable in the De Zerbi team, and that's what I think a lot of people are missing out on. The personnel enabled De Zerbi's final form. It's like Super Saiyan Roberto De Zerbi Italian version. No more of the Balotelli, Borini, Aquilani, Tossena. You know, the Italians are a little bit disappointed us. Tossena with 2 quality lobs against Man United, against Real Madrid back to back. Aquilani just couldn't get into gear really if he progressed us through the Champions League. He might have turned his career around. Borini, knife in the mouth because you want it so bad. Scored like 1 goal or something. Brendan Rodgers said we'd love him. Don't know what there was to love really. Didn't bring much to the table. Balotelli, opening good game against Tottenham. But apart from that, what can you say? We just haven't had the best of histories with Italians at the club. But it's a manager, not a player. So in this formation, as I said, Jota drops back with Szoboszlai. In fact, actually, I prefer Jota on the left and Szoboszlai. Salah transitions into the half space to bomb forward into that half space where he loves, but goes directly for goal. Núñez goes directly for goal, cutting inside and bending it across, cutting inside and bending it across. You have Trent in the half space position, back up Salah, but if Salah goes all in, then you have Trent in this space with Szoboszlai, and Jota can dive in as well, and Núñez on the outside. The attack is OP. It's completely overpowered, this attack, because Núñez, Trent, Robertson can go around the outside. So this is not an underlapping type of game. This is a in your face, going shortest route to goal, and if there's no space in the middle, we'll go around the outside and whip it in. And look at our friends who want to get on the end of that ball, right? Similar to the other side. Look at our friends who want to get on the end of Trent's balls as well, or Trent slipping in Salah and Salah squaring it across, right? And these two will win the ball back and recycle possession. They don't need to be too high in this formation. They literally hold and protect us, and then you've got a kind of box at the back to protect us between McAllister, Endo. Konate can be the width defender if it's played in and behind Trent. Same as Van Dijk, or in a straight run race, it's going to be Van Dijk or Konate. I imagine Van Dijk's behind Konate because Konate presses forward more, and Van Dijk can distribute the ball across. But the attacking potential of the Zerbi team with this formation is ludicrous. And that's not even counting Conor Bradley going around the outside, which means Salah drops more in half space, Szoboszlai being your long range shooter. It's just menacing. Absolutely menacing. Goals galore. And goals win matches. And just before we go into the defensive lineup on the transition, obviously Curtis Jones, what a ball. If you want a more ball retaining type of play, you can put Jones where Szoboszlai is. In fact, you could even put Jones into the back line between McAllister and Endo. Endo could actually drop back into the centre back role to form that 3 at the back, which really allows your wing back to absolutely fly forward, because Endo is versatile in that regard as well. Also, Gravenberch would love this formation because any one of those front positions, right, front attacking midfield positions, he would love with aplomb, because he's very offensively minded as well, and he can link up play, and he loves to give and go and off you go as well. Harvey Elliott could play the Salah position, because this isn't requiring a flying winger down the right line. It's getting to that half space and being offensive and having the goal and target on mind and slipping those cute balls through, right? Whether it's to overlapping Trent or overlapping Conor Bradley or transitioning to the other side or taking a pot shot at goal as well. Harvey Elliott would love the attacking midfield space or the Salah space in this formation, and Núñez, starting from deep, really has the game in front of him to run into the right channels, and always a threat from the long ball over the top. Jota transitioning back, Jota being the one who brings the defence with him, and Núñez bypassing them into the back line with the balls from Endo, McAllister and Trent playing him in, even Alisson or Van Dijk playing him in. A De Zerbi Liverpool would be very, very fun. But anyway, let's go into the kind of attacking phase, and this is our good friend Senor Rafa Benitez. The 4-2-3-1 is a kind of 4-2-3-1. Literally, they go into that kind of line and shape there, and the guy at the top presses and causes havoc. And that shape is fairly unremarkable. It's fairly solid. You can drop deep. You can have Szoboszlai as well. Núñez, Salah, but on the break, red arrows from the halfway line, playing the ball in and behind. Núñez is out. Núñez is always out in this formation because, my goodness, that pace running in, and then Jota on the end, Salah on the end, Szoboszlai is fast in the straight line run, Endo and McAllister as well, right, playing the ball through. I'd expect a lot of counter-attack goals in that position because in deep, right, it's going to be so hard to break through a dirty shape like this, with Jota just being the menial press. You can even do a half-court press, but it's not really Liverpool style. I think Liverpool will press them all over the pitch, go high, transition, try to pen them in, Trent step up, Konate, Van Dijk, Robertson in the half channel, even could transition into your lovely 4-3-3 that we always play this season, and these are very versatile. Probably Núñez, Jota more likely than Salah transitioning, but Salah can undercut as well, which give Trent the outside option, but that's more likely Bradley doing that kind of thing as well. So tactical versatility, it's very, very important. But on a defensive transition, it's less exciting because he's not really a defensive minded coach. As I showed you, he's all about going for the throat, baby. I want that 8-0 against Man United, and with De Zerbi in the helm, I think high score galore. Very fun. Goal difference, remarkable. So stats, he achieved them with Brighton. What could he do with Liverpool? That's the biggest question mark that Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes have to ponder. What could De Zerbi do with this Liverpool squad in the next few seasons? It would be fun, right? It'd be really, really fun. Oh, having watched this video, right, you can't tell me that your taste buds aren't wetted just a little bit to see what a bit of Italian flair, a little bit gelato pique. Gelato Piqué is the clothing brand, by the way, not the Gerard Piqué. No, we don't need no ex-Manx, you know, he blew his lot with Shakira. What is that all about? No idea. Anyway, make sure you like the video, right? I love these tactical analysis. I'm well into the tactical formations and analytical detail, and hopefully that's provided a bit of insight into a De Zerbi-led Liverpool. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Make sure to smash that like. Once again, only takes a second. Really helps the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Lots and lots of content coming up. Domo arigato minasan, Miyazaki man Ichiban. Until next time, Janet.